Hi guys, today I am doing, or tonight I should say, I thought I would do my third trimester update. I am at about 38 weeks now, so I have 2 weeks until 40 weeks. But honestly, baby could come at any time, and I didn't want to not be able to film this. I also hope the baby comes soon, so I wanted to film this before I run out of time. I did my first and second one, first trimester and second trimester ones already, and they're up, so you can check those out. I'll try to remember to link them below. If not, they're just on my channel. But I am heavily into the third trimester. In the last month, you are pregnant for 10 months, not 9, by the way. And I am feeling all the feelings. I feel like you can see it in my face, you can see it in my body. It's a time. I have to say the first trimester was still the worst for me, just emotionally, mentally, even exhaustingly. I'm not as tired in my brain really, and like I feel like a nap helps, whereas the first trimester it was just like always tired and like just very anxious and like all that. But this trimester it's mostly discomfort is like the biggest thing. Is like there's a lot of symptoms and just discomfort. It's like just a lot of that's like the only way I can really describe it. But I have all my notes from like the day-to-day notes I took. I'll try to put in like a weekly picture. I've not been as good as doing that, but yeah, I thought let's just get in. So trimester 3 starts when you're around 28 weeks, I think. I got to say the second trimester for me was the best by far. I wasn't feeling wonderful and I definitely had symptoms, but it felt the most normal. I felt not gigantic and uncomfortable yet. I was still able to do most things. Now like I get sore and achy standing in the shower. I got a shower chair. You know, it's hard to like walk around the grocery store, like to that point. The second trimester, you still kind of feel like I could go for walks, like I could do things and like feel good. And now it's just like really, really hard. There's a lot of pressure. And I would say in the beginning of the third trimester, for like a week, I felt okay. I felt like at 28 weeks, I was still doing pretty well. I didn't feel huge, I should say. I felt like I was still mostly belly, my boobs got bigger, but like I wasn't feeling the way I feel now and the way I know I look now. Like I can see in my face, like I don't recognize myself anymore. But one thing that did happen right in the beginning of the third trimester was getting really lightheaded. It happened like twice really. I got super dizzy and lightheaded and sweaty, and it would pass very quickly. I was eating enough. It just like happened. And around that time I also had gotten blood work done for my iron and it was a little low. Like they said it was really not low. It was just like right on like the cusp. So I just doubled up the iron I've been taking and it's been improving things. Baby, come on. Okay. It was also around the beginning of the third trimester I started getting sciatica, which is sort of like nerve pain in the back. And it's really sharp. So that was no fun. That was no fun. And that's kind of been an on and off kind of thing. It's like it kind of shoots down your leg and it's like in the morning you put your foot down on the ground and like it kind of like shoots. It's like a shooting pain. So that's fun. And then also that same first week of the third trimester I got my glucose test done. Share a little about that. It's no big deal, honestly. I was more nervous about it than I should have been, I think. I didn't think I was going to be like positive. I didn't think I was going to have gestational diabetes, just knowing myself. But I went in and I did it, and I think I got the orange one, and it just tasted like sweet flat orange soda. Not big deal. Drank it real quick. Had no issue. No real symptoms or side effects. I know a lot of people don't feel good that day or they get really tired later. It was fine and I passed it and it wasn't a big deal. So I think people make too big of a deal about it, in my opinion, but I know everyone's different. Into the second week of the third trimester, the back pain continued, and I also had the largest gas pain I've ever had. Like, sorry about the train. But the gas in the third trimester has been severely worse. Like, I'd say I had more heartburn in the beginning, but the gas in the third trimester is not only painful and sharp, but it is TMI. It's very smelly. And I had friends warn me about this. It's like very foul smelling, not like normal gas. Like normal gas has like, you know, maybe a sulfur smell or an egg smell or things, and no. Third trimester gas is intense, constant, and very, very smelly. My husband will tell you. It's a lot. Sciatica continued. It was kind of like where you can't sit or stand for too long. You have to do one and go back and forth, and that was kind of annoying. And then around the second, third week of the third trimester, I also started getting a lot of pelvic pain. Now I've carried low like the whole time. Like the whole time, if I push in here, there's nothing here. It's like empty. So I've always been carrying low, but I think around this point, I was getting a lot of pelvic pressure. So pretty much just felt like all the weight was sitting in my lower pelvis. And that's been pretty constant since then. And I think that's just the weight of the baby, honestly, like pushing in that area. And it's really difficult when you're walking. So for a while I tried to do the belly band, but I found it really uncomfortable. I didn't like it. It pushed a lot of pressure kind of in a different area, and then I had to go to the bathroom, which is another thing that just has been happening the entire time. The fourth week of the third trimester, back pain continued. Sciatica on my right side was really bad, so I actually slept with like a little wedge pillow under my butt on one side, and that helped a lot. In about a week of doing that, it seemed to really resolve that a lot. Even when I got a facial, I did that, and it helped a lot too. And then right around the same week, I started sweating in my sleep a lot. Now this was the end of September, and it was still pretty warm, but sleep sweating was getting pretty bad, and it's still pretty bad. I'm glad the weather is cooling off, but it's pretty brutal, and I know that people say it gets even worse after the baby, so trying to prepare for that. And then, as you can probably hear, I have congestion, which is a huge symptom for pregnancy, especially the third trimester. My mom said she had it with my brother, and the second she gave birth, like within 10 minutes she could breathe. So mostly my congestion happens at night, before I go to bed. And at first it was like really, really annoying. But I started using the Breathe Right strips like for snoring, and they work. So they work. That's all I can say. Is like, you don't think they work because like people will be raving about them. No, well, I'm raving about them. They work. They stay on. They actually open your nose, so you can breathe. You don't have to sleep with your mouth open. I cannot do that, so I tend when I have congestion, I can't sleep because I don't want to sleep with my mouth open. I get dry. And we have a humidifier and all that, but the Breathe Right nose strips really, really, really help. So I've been using those. I was using them just as needed, like in the middle of the night. If I would get congested, I would use it, but now I've just been going to bed with them because it makes a huge difference. I could also probably do them during the day because it's getting to that point, and essentially the congestion is just from the extra fluid in your body. You can see for all this, a lot of this extra like chunkiness is fluid, and a lot of people say that like goes away through the sweating in the first couple of weeks postpartum. But that is what the congestion really is. So it's like you have extra mucus, extra blood, all that kind of stuff in your body, and it's just kind of filling all the voids. And I think that's also the soreness in my body seems to be from that. It's like the extra weight, like my ankles and my knees feel that, but it's like the extra weight of the fluid in your body pushing on your nerves, and I feel like that's really uncomfortable as well. I also in this point started having more trouble sleeping. I've never been a great sleeper, but the third trimester you just can't get comfortable. It's like really, really hard. You're always trying to find a comfortable position, and it's not easy. And then around that end of September, I also started getting nosebleeds. I had one really intense one, and since then it's kind of almost been like every other day. Some are more intense than others. Sometimes it stops in like a minute, sometimes it takes like 10 to 15 minutes. But that's also a nice, fun, normal symptom of pregnancy if you didn't know. Nosebleeds, congestion, all that fun stuff. So the nosebleeds have been annoying more than anything else. It doesn't like hurt or bother me. It's just like really annoying. That same week, baby's movement has gotten just so intense. I think it kind of went from like kicking and like fun little movements to like the baby is running out of room and they're squirming a lot, and it's really tight in some areas. So that's not been great. Also, right around the end of September, I found out I had a yeast infection, which is also super common during pregnancy. So fun times. Got on a 7-day cream for that, and it cleared it up and it worked, and that was difficult. if you've ever been on a prescription for a yeast infection that isn't oral. I've only ever had a yeast infection like once before, and I had an oral prescription, and this you can't take when you're pregnant. So it was a cream that you insert, and that was hard to do being pretty pregnant. First week of October, a lot of heaviness and pressure, and I think it's pretty much just been the same since then. There's a lot of heaviness, a lot of pressure. I just feel so much weight, a lot of pressure, still a lot of night sweats. We continued the same week, a lot of pelvic weight pressure. Oh, and then around the 7th of October, I noticed my hands and feet were swelling. My blood pressure has been totally fine. I actually, before I got pregnant, my blood pressure was always like on the low end, and most of pregnancy it's been the same, and now it's like gone up a little. It's still completely normal, but it's just higher for me. So we did blood work, and everything else is totally normal, so they're not concerned about it. I check my blood pressure every day, so it's not a concern, but the swelling can just happen from the fluid, and if I stand for too long, I notice I have it. If I lay down for too long, I notice I have it. So I did have to take my rings off, which sucked, just because one day they felt too tight and I just didn't want to risk it, so I took them off. I do notice that if my ankles and my feet do swell, if I put them up on a pillow, it goes down in like an hour or even a half hour. So now when I'm laying down in bed, I keep my feet up, and then also when I'm like watching TV, I keep my feet up, and that seems to help a lot. The next day so the 8th, I felt super hungry, super thirsty, insomnia for about 2 weeks straight. At that point, I would wake up about 2 to 3 times a night for like long periods of time, to the point where like I had to go have a snack or something. I couldn't get back to sleep, and a lot of bloody noses continued. And then on the 12th of October, I was still noticing the swelling in my feet and hands on and off. Really, if I walked more than like an hour, so if I was at the grocery store, Target, or anything like that, if I was out on my feet for more than an hour, even sitting upward like I am now, like with your feet dangling, it would do that. I also noticed a lot of baby movements that were more rough. It just felt like it was more intense movement. Around the mid-October, I noticed my bowel movements were different. So this is TMI for some people, but I think that most pregnant people would appreciate the honesty. So before pregnancy, I had IBS, and it was a lot of diarrhea. I'd be constipated maybe like once a month, but it was mostly diarrhea. And because pregnancy often causes constipation in a lot of people, my bowel movements had been more normal throughout pregnancy. But in the middle of like October, it started being more common. So I was still having like normal bowel movements, but like it was like 2-3 times a day instead of once. And essentially, I believe, and from doctor's point of view, it is because there's no more room. That's it. I'm eating more. I'm so hungry, like insatiable, but I have to go to the bathroom more because there's just no room. Kind of like I have to pee a lot. It's like that, but there's just no room for the poo. That's essentially it. And then around that time is also when I started feeling the baby's movement in my hips. So like my actual hip bones, I can feel like parts of the baby like sitting in my hip. And when you sit up straight like this, it feels like right in the crack right there, like they're being squished or something. It's a weird feeling. Around the 21st of October, I started noticing nothing fitting. Like all my maternity stuff, like bras, even underwear, like nothing fits. Even areas where the belly isn't, like everything feels tight. So it came to the point where like it's hard to wear anything. Everything feels very tight and uncomfortable. So I'm really excited to not be pregnant. At this point, I gained 30 pounds. And I started feeling it more in my body. Like at this point, I didn't feel like myself. Like I didn't feel like myself, but pregnant, I felt not like myself. And it's kind of felt like that since then. Like I don't recognize myself when I look in the mirror. I just feel really round and swollen and uncomfortable and like not even out of breath. Luckily, the baby hasn't been up in my ribs because they've been so low. So I haven't had like a lot of rib kicks or anything like that, or like trouble with my lungs because they're like up squishing them. But it's just like a lot. It's just like a lot of weight and heaviness, and like everything's pushing, and like I really hope that the baby comes soon. On October 28th was 5 weeks, 36 weeks, and baby was measuring at 5.18 pounds, and got some cute little pictures, which I'm excited about, but they look so squished. The baby looks so squished to me, and they're head down, so that's good to know. And they've been head down, even my appointments since that was my last scan. The baby's head down, so like they're ready, so they should just come out. Since then, lots and lots of movement in my hips, my pelvis, just like lots and lots of movement, places like all the way over my side. Like baby is clearly running out of room. Peeing constantly, a lot of pressure. I also had some sacrum pain in my back, like above your butt area. I just feel really swollen, and I feel like since Halloween it's essentially been that. And like, so we're like 10 days past now, and I just feel huge and swollen, and like I feel good mentally kind of, and like emotionally I've been okay, but it's been uncomfortable. I've been having a lot of what they call lightning crotch, which is great. It literally feels like, even though their head is pushing down, it's like whenever their head pushes on your cervix, that's essentially what lightning crotch is. It's that pressure, but instead of feeling like pressure, it feels like a lightning rod in your area. It literally feels like you're being electrocuted. It's not the most painful, it's just very like takes your breath away, kind of like ooh, like that kind of, and it goes away, only lasts like less than a minute, but it's a lot. You could sit in a certain position, you could stand, like it just comes on and it's not pleasant. Then the time change hit, and I feel like I've been kind of off since then. It's like tiredness wise, I'll fall asleep in the middle of the day a little bit more, but it's not too bad. And then also around this point I've been getting, I don't even want to say emotional, but like once or twice I've had like a crying spell, which just, I've been pretty even keeled other than the first trimester. I've been like pretty stable mentally and like emotionally, but I feel like that's normal for now. Like they say the last couple weeks, like you get kind of more emotional because you're like, your whole life's gonna change in like this huge way, and you get like grief, like you're mourning your relationship because it's not gonna be the same, and like just a lot of stuff. But mostly when it comes up for me, it's like no reason, like I'm not even thinking about any of that stuff. It's just kind of like comes up, so that's annoying. I don't like to cry, so it's annoying to me. On the 5th, which is only a couple days ago now, I'm just still really hungry, so I just like, eat a lot. I drink a lot of water. I get really tired and just like sore easily. So moving around and like walking is just like annoying. Regular everyday tasks feel like a lot more energy is being expelled. Showering is not the most pleasant. Like I love a shower, it makes me feel better, but like standing is annoying. I have a shower chair, but it's just like even being in there is like a tiring thing to do. Nosebleeds continued. My teeth or my gums are bleeding a little bit more. My eyesight is getting progressively worse. So I noticed that earlier on, but it seems like it's getting worse. At night, my congestion's gotten worse to the point where like I said, I think earlier, that I have to use those breathe right strips every night, not just as needed. I also noticed that when I'm congested, it feels swollen right here, so I'll use a frozen eye mask. I have 2 of them, and I kind of go back and forth throughout the night, and that helps a lot because it's like frozen right here, and it helps kind of like stop that swelling, and it just feels nice, and it helps with the night sweats as well. But yeah, so right now I'm gonna be 38 weeks officially on Monday, and today's Saturday night, so we're getting there. And I will probably share my birth story. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how it goes. But you guys did say that you wanted to see this video. I asked if you'd rather see this one or if you'd rather see like the products that have been really helping me throughout pregnancy and like stuff like that. But you said this one first, so I'll probably still do that one if I have time and baby doesn't come before then. But I will try to do that one. So hopefully you enjoyed this and gave you some insight whether you're pregnant or not. I know I watched these all the time for years before I even was thinking about getting pregnant. Yeah, I have to say a lot of people ask like what trimester is the best and what's the worst. Second, hands down the best. First, the worst, and then the third is just like not great. Like it could be worse. When people ask me how I'm doing, I say it could be worse. And it was. In the first trimester I was miserable. So I would say I'm just ready. I'm just ready for the baby to come. I'm not really nervous about labor. I just want baby to come. So yeah, let me know any questions you guys have down below, and if you want to see the other video of like products that have helped me, and I will talk to you soon.